Hey Jesse, so you were hoping we could take a look at your Blackbox log for any input, so let's give her a check. Okay, so pulling up your log, it looks like you're just running 1616K, a 1 kilohertz sampling rate. One thing I would do just off the top is run it a little bit higher of a sampling rate. If at a 1 kilohertz sampling rate, that means that any of your reported data is only going to go down or up to 500 hertz. With running a 1616 kilohertz range, you might have more interesting data up to and maybe even past 5,000. So give it a shot. With that said, though, looking at your gyro data, your filter gyro data, it's looking real clean. It's looking real good. So there's nothing really to be concerned. It's just if you're next time running a log, bump that up just to see your higher ranges up to, like I said, 5 kilohertz or so. But looking at each of the after the filtering, you can see that everything's getting cleaned up pretty well. There is, if I look at the raw gyro data, you can see, as expected, you're getting some low amplitude noise that really is like a bass noise level that keeps going up, and that's really what that new filter is the BQRC filter, the fast common filter, or whatever they end up with, is really targeting to hit. So I see you have the stage 2 low pass filter set at 180 hertz. Good man, you've been following along. What the devs are doing, you must be looking at GitHub, or just a coincidence. But and then your low pass filter, your PT1, you bump that up to 100. That's looking good. And then your Dterm low pass filter, I saw that was bumped up as well. I can just go back to the log for that. So that's bumped up as well to 120. So yeah, at the end of the day, your noise is still looking great on the backside of all that. So honestly, you might even be able to keep bumping these up a little bit. Your PT1, bump that up and see how high you can get that pushed up. One thing I did notice as well, so that's really up to you. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it too. So that's up to you. So where you get the effects of noise that's going to be a negative ramification is in your P and D term. Now you do have some P term oscillation, so that would look at gyro sampling or additional gyro filtering, but it's not too bad. And I really, my focus goes right onto the D term, and I think I noticed something here. So you can see that it's sporadic, that when the D term spikes. So for example here, like you have some D term noise spiking here. So let's just look at the D term and the RC commands, because there's a correlation there that I'm seeing. I'm going to turn off all these graphs and save that. And you can see when you're making fast movements in either your throttle or your roll commands, that's when your D term's starting to spike its amplitude on some of this higher frequency noise. And those amplitude spikes are generating around 58, almost 60 hertz signal that's going in. So one of the things you can look at doing here is smoothing out your RC inputs. Let's go over to Betaflight. So if you first want to come in and your RC interpolation, if you want to set that to roll, pitch, yaw, and throttle, the default is only roll and pitch. And I just wanted to confirm that. So like I said, your default is still just roll and pitch. So it's only going to do a smoothing on roll and pitch. What I like to do is apply it to all of them. So you would change this, you would type set space RC interp, you would type this RC underscore interp underscore channel equals, and then RPYT, hit enter, and then hit save. So it's just, I guess I can do it, set RC underscore interp, yep, underscore CH equals RPYT, and then type save. That will reboot the flight controller. So now it will act on all 4 control axes of the quad, or all 4 control commands. And then the other thing you want to do is change this from auto to manual, and the default's going to be 19 milliseconds. Now I don't know what the auto is set at for yours. You don't have any smoothing on your throttle in these logs or your yaw, and you can see that association there. The roll though does have some slight slight jigginess to that, I guess is the word. I don't know. It's 11 p.m. Anyways, what you can do is bump up that arc. You have to play with it a little bit. You want to essentially, you can bump up this RC interpolation. You want this to be as minimum as possible, but maybe a little bit more smoothing on your stick inputs here. I generally like to have them pretty smooth. They do introduce delay. It's a 20 millisecond delay they're introducing between what your stick movement is, but we're talking about 0.002 seconds, so I don't think you're going to notice it, but maybe that's me. And there's a delay there inherently, and where I'm coming up with this is, if you look right here, for example, here's a real stiff or quick movement in the roll axis, and you can see just with that little bit of jigger there that your Dterm's starting to get overactive a little bit. So that should smooth that out. Otherwise, your Dterm's looking good. There's not a lot of noise there. I don't see any real hard moves or anything that you were concerned about for PIDs, but let me just take a closer look here real quick. So yeah, there's only one distinct hard move for a roll in this log. So you can just looking at that roll axis, but it doesn't look, by looking at the gyro trace here, gyro roll, doesn't look like you have any bounce back whatsoever. So I'm assuming you're fairly pleased with this. What I would do is record a log at the higher sampling rate. I would change that RC interpolation, bump that up. Mine I think is around 21, 22 milliseconds, so maybe try there, see if it smooths it out. Change that RC, your sampling rate up higher. Record a log with 0 throttle. You punch out, do some punch outs to check that your see how your anti-gravity gains are doing there, and if that's appropriately set. At 4.5 it should be plenty high. And then do some hard maneuvers, either hard rolls, full stick deflection rolls, and full stick deflection pitch flips as well. And then do some turns where you're flying in one direction, flip it around, and fly into that prop wash and gun it, and see how your prop wash handling's at. That's the kind of logs that you would want to post up for looking at your PIDs and seeing how those are adjusted. But it looks like everything's in pretty good shape for me. Hopefully this helped a little bit. I think that maybe the takeaway is that RC interpolation thing. And sorry it took me a little bit to get looking at these logs. I've been kind of obsessed with filtering stuff, phase delay and all that kind of stuff lately. So, all right, see ya, thanks.